What attracted you to the club and how did you come to be the manager here?
So initially I joined the club as assistant manager or head coach alongside Tim Cole. So I joined in Division 1, Wessex Division 1. They were obviously aspirations of getting out the division. I had just moved on from Tottenham Ealing where I was the first team manager. I'd known Mark through football for a number of years. Nothing too major, but he'd always complimented me for what he'd seen. So we had a good discussion. Said he needed someone to come in and sort of head up the coaching side of things. So that's when I first come across. In our first year, we finished 5th, I think it was. And then fortunately, the second season, we were obviously champions. And then in the summer, there was a discussion between obviously the club and Tim decided that he no longer wanted to continue or didn't feel we could continue going up to the Wessex Prem. So fortunately, I was offered the chance to take the team on. Yeah, couldn't turn it down, to be honest.
Was there a thing about FA Cup, you, Tottenham Ealing, youngest manager, something that I should know but I don't know? What's the story there?
So that goes back to when I was at Romsey. So I was at
course.
Romsey Town initially. I took over first team manager there at 22. And then in the build up, we played Fareham in the FA Cup. And in the build up, someone just mentioned to me, he said, just a flippant comment, do you think you're the youngest manager? And I said, I really don't know, but our chairman at the time, Phil, looked into it, and it was discovered that I was the youngest manager. So I was 22 at the time.
And how old are you now?
34.
Nice. Very good. We're going to talk about the whole of last season was remarkable on the back of 2 seasons of kind of disappointment. So how did that end up influencing everything that happened last season?
Yeah, I think I've spoken about this a lot, to be fair. I don't think we would have achieved what we did last year without the sort of heartbreak, as easier saying to call it, from the last couple of seasons. Obviously, it was hugely disappointing. What I do try and remind people is we've actually gone through that league really quickly in comparison to a lot of teams that have been in that league for a long, long time. So yes, we had a few seasons of disappointment at the final hurdle. But if you could look back on those seasons and call them a failure, it's just not possible. We've won a lot of trophies in that time, cups, always second, third, right up there. And ultimately, we didn't get over the line. But those experiences build resilience and character. And the word I used all season last year was resilience. They had something different. They had something different about them. When we were training in games, you always felt we would come back, which wasn't the case the seasons before. I remember 2 games on the trot last year. We went to Christchurch on the Tuesday night, 2-0 down, 2-0 at half time actually, and then we came back and won 3-2. Then on the Saturday, Millbrook, 2-0 down, scored in the very last minute again. It's just that those kind of things didn't happen the couple of years before. Whether that's quality of the players, I don't know. We didn't overhaul the squad that much. I do think it was that mentality, mental toughness, that resilience, as I said, just to get us over the line. They were never beaten. That was the biggest thing. And even when we went into the so-called bigger games in the Vars, coming up against some top opposition, there was never any fear. We always believed in ourselves. I always used to say to the boys, look around the group and you tell me whether you'd want anyone else in our change room, and they wouldn't. We had a great group, had every tool that we needed. So I think it was just a belief and, like I said, an overall mental strength, really.
Was it difficult for you and Mark to keep the squad together for last season?
Yes and no. Yes and no. We had a lot of conversations that were tough. Ultimately, you're asking people to put their trust in you to a certain extent. I think a lot of them felt a responsibility to stay and put it right almost. That was one of the comments that Dan Miller made in the summer. He had some great offers. And he said, look, I came here to get you out of the league and I'm going to do it. So that obviously helped. There was a lot of boys that wanted to stay. They all wanted to stay. A lot of them had offers to move on. And after a couple of near misses, you kind of go, we had the same conversation the year before and we said, give us one more year. And it still didn't happen. So to then make them go again and say, just give us one more year. Like I said, it came down to trust. But it was a trust 2 ways because I could have gone, look, you haven't got us over the line, so I'm going to clear the squad out and replace you. But I knew we were so close. And if we could keep the core together, we just needed to drop 1 or 2 in. And like I said, just have a confidence about us to go and hit the ground running. Make no mistakes, it was do or die last year, really. We had to get out of the division. and we did, thankfully. So.
And I was just thinking back to the start or the early part of last season when Tiz left, went to Poole, which was I think pretty much one of his boyhood club, or he has a good association with there. Maybe things didn't quite work out for him there. He's straight back in and plays a crucial role for you, as he always does.
Yeah, definitely. Again, a trust thing with Tiz coming back. Really, again, he could have had a handful of clubs that he could have gone to. We always tried to put him off going to Poole. Obviously, naturally, we wanted to keep him. That wasn't because we didn't feel he could. I still believe he can play at that level, but it's about environment, and Tiz and a couple of all of our players really. I feel we give them a really good environment, both on the training pitch, away from the club. We look after players how we would want to be treated. They're good friends on and off the pitch as well, which really helps. And I think being in that sort of environment and that culture allows people like Tiz, who's a bit of a maverick, a bit of a flair player. A lot of people will try and tame him slightly, whereas we know what he's very good at, and it's almost you go and do what you're good at, and we'll make certain, not allowances, because he works really, really hard. So it's not like we're saying don't defend or anything stupid like that, but we just allow him to do what he does, and I think we get the best out of him. And perhaps Poole didn't know how to do that, or he didn't have the time there on the pitch to show what he was capable of. But yeah, again, trust, two-way thing. We wanted him back. He wanted to come back. And as you say, he played a real vital role.
Were there any key signings? We talked about having the core of the squad for maybe 2-3 seasons in a row. Laycock coming in later in the season. There anybody that you would not necessarily single out, but are there any things that you think of and go, yeah, we got that one really right, or that was a crucial moment for the squad balance?
To be honest, I don't. Who did we sign last year? I can't actually remember. Liam Callaghan came in. I'm forgetting now. Obviously, Tiz came back. I do genuinely think it was just retention's the most important.
Right.
People like Dan, Ashwells, Welchie, Baino, those kind of characters. Wellesley and Miller had already been at the level and played higher, so obviously brings certain qualities. Whereas Welchie and Baino just bring an understanding of what AFC Stoneham is and what I am and what my teams represent. So I think they're just as important in a slightly different way. But yeah, I think the retentions were the key part. Don't get me wrong, people like Liam and the others, I can't remember who else we signed now, it seems so long ago. They obviously played a part in an important role. Obviously going right back to the start of the season, we had Brett Williams who came in, didn't stay around too long, but I still remember our first home game in the league here, Millbrook again, as it always is, go 1-0 up. They equalise late on. Brett wins us a penalty in 94th minute. We score and it turns that 1 point into 3. So like there were so many little key factors throughout the season. But yeah, ultimately I think it was the retentions really that were the most important.
Eventually we get through the season. There's so much going on. We've got the various cup runs. We've got Wembley beginning to loom large, but it's always been all about the league. We know that. So what was it like on that evening at Bemerton Heath Harlequins?
Yeah, no, just brilliant. Just elation, really. Well, actually, I described it as relief. We got in the car and my girlfriend said to me, she goes, "You've finally done it." Like, what? How'd you feel? She was expecting me to be excited. I'm not one of these excitable people, to be fair. And I just said it's just relief because I came here to do a job, and we felt finally got that job done. So yeah, it was obviously it's kind of a long time coming because we had a good lead. You always felt that we were going to do it, but until you actually get that result to get you over the line. I mean, I reminded the boys in the change room before the game that when me and Tim were in Division 1, we went to Tottenham Ealing on the last game of the season. We needed a point to win it. So we were ahead. Amesbury then overtook us with like 2 games to go, and it was almost done for us. And then they slipped up, and then it turned out we only needed a point on the Tuesday night. I still remember it really, really well. And we go 3-0 up, and I've never seen anything like it. We just collapsed. They got it back to 3-3, and I'll be honest, they nearly scored. They nearly scored a winner. And I said to the boys then, it was like we come off the pitch, and obviously, yes, you're happy, but there was almost a frustration or a disappointment that we didn't do it properly because we ended up winning it on goal difference, and it just didn't feel quite as good as it could have.
And you could have had something like that this season, because you could have won it on one of the weekends where, I don't know whether it was one of the Vars weekends or something. There were other teams who could have lost it, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
That would have been a bit weird as well, wasn't it? So it was nice that it was, in a game that you were, playing to do the job.
If I remember rightly, it was the game where we secured Wembley.
Okay.
Because come off the pitch and people said to me, it could have been an even better day. And I was like, I want to do it our way. I want us to win it on our own terms, really.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's difficult because winning it on the last day or winning it by a point, etc., is probably a little bit more dramatic than us kind of half expecting us to win anyway. But no, it was a brilliant night. Obviously, really special now that we've lost Jeff, and he was there on that evening in the change room with us. The photos, the videos of the celebrations just make it even more special. But yeah, for me personally, more relief than any other emotion. But yeah, just elation for the club that we finally managed to do it.
You've mentioned Jeff, and I remember somebody ran an interview with you, perhaps the non-league paper, where you said that really the one person you wanted to do the right thing for here at Stoneham, and the one person that you looked at for approval, I think you may have said, was Jeff.
Yeah, it was. Mark's probably not too happy I said that, but no, me and Jeff had a really good relationship, really special relationship, and I described him in our end of season awards as the sort of conduit between me and Mark. So me and Mark will clash at times. He's a strong personality, I think so am I. At times we're both too emotional, whereas Jeff would take the middle ground and go, come on, just calm down and see it from his point of view, and vice versa. He did the same with Mark. And he was just that middle ground where he just speak truth. And I think Mark said it on that evening, but also at his funeral. Jeff was a man of quite a few words, but when he spoke, you listened.
Right, yeah.
And I think that's why. So as we come off the game, as I said, Mark's quite an emotional guy. Sometimes he'll tell you how it is. Sometimes he'll disappear. That's fine. Jeff would always be the voice of reason to an extent, and he'd go, look, it's not so bad. You've lost the game, but you played really well, or just give you that bit you needed. He was so good at just recognising whether you needed bringing back down to earth a little bit or picking back up. And he was excellent for everyone.
Oh, he'll be missed, won't he?
Massively, massively.
Ambitions for the coming season, because you've talked about a project, you've talked about wanting to get over the line, you came here to do the job that you've done.
Yeah.
You're going to have a whole new set of ambitions and targets and motivations. What can you share about that?
Yeah, so I think as a club, we obviously have worked so hard to get there. It's really important we stay there. We're not going into the league to be fighting relegation by any means. I think our squad is strong enough to go and compete. We've proven that over the last few years. FA Cup games, some of the Vars games, obviously a lot of those teams that we played at the time maybe weren't, they were sort of in and around playoffs, but 2 or 3 of them have gone up as champions. 1 went up in the playoffs. So we played some real top opposition. FA Cup, going back a few years now, but we played Basingstoke. They were 2 levels above us at the time. We beat them, obviously had our trip to Yeovil. So we've played some good opposition in the past, and we've managed to compete fairly well. So if we can get our mindset and mentality right, I think we'll be absolutely fine. I think there's going to be a big switch for us in terms of we go into most games in the Wessex thinking we were going to win, almost expecting to win. I know it sounds really arrogant, but it was just that we knew we had the best squad, and the pressure was there. We were there to be shot at, and we had to handle that. Whereas this season coming, that pressure's off to a certain extent, and I think really it will suit us. I think it will suit us because we can be a bit more free. We can take a bit of the pressure off the boys. Not that we ever try and put too much on them, but there was just that natural pressure. But yeah, we're not going there to make up the numbers. I think the club would like to be anywhere above mid-table. I think that would be a good season for us.
What can you learn from Fareham, Horndean and Portchester and Moneyfields as well? All 4 teams that you've been battling against for the last few seasons. They've all gone up. Fareham had a bit of a shocker.
Yeah.
Horndean did all right and have kind of come back down to the Wessex for this season. Porchy and Money's, sort of in and around the playoffs, weren't they? What can you learn from all of those clubs?
Yeah, it's difficult because I'll contradict myself slightly with this same sentence, but you look at Fareham and I would say they didn't make enough changes maybe to the squad. I think, I'll be honest, I thought their squad last year was weaker than the one they got out of the Wessex with.
Right.
They lost a couple of bodies and I just thought they looked weaker. But then on the flip side, Moneyfields went up, kept their core together as we normally do, added 1 or 2, and obviously done really, really well and have been in and around the playoffs comfortably in the end. Yeah. Portchester are a different animal for me. They actually, if you remember back to the start of the season, didn't do particularly well. They went on probably first 8 to 10 games, sort of looked at it and went, ooh, surprised me. Right. So I thought they would go up and do really, really well. But then from Christmas, they just went like that. And yes, they added a couple of bodies towards the end of the season. But they were always equipped, similar to us. Ultimately, we've said our squad last year was probably a step 4 squad playing at step 5. Portchester was the same when they went up. So they were almost ready there. So yeah, we have to learn from especially Ferrum and Horndean. Try and take on what they maybe couldn't quite do. I mean, you look at Ferrum back at the end of the season, their pressure was off and they suddenly then got some results. So I think that's the key, is getting that mentality and mindset right. We've obviously recruited a few already. Maybe 1 or 2 might still come in throughout the season. There's always that movement in the first sort of month. So we need to get our recruitment right, which I feel we're in a good place with. But yeah, just go and attack the league. We've worked so hard to get here. No point wasting any opportunities. Just go and be us and see where we're at.
Yeah, good. So Wembley. I got a really lovely picture of you and Lewis walking around before the game. I don't know whether did Lewis, did his family have a box? You're pointing up at somebody.
We're like that.
Yeah, it's a lovely picture. And then obviously you with the trophy and everything. What a day! I mean, it's just amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it was incredible. Absolutely incredible. The only disappointing is it's already been and gone. It just feels like forever ago.
That's maybe a good thing though, because your focus has to move on, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. It does. So many people said to me before, forget any advice I can give you. The only bit I will say is just taking every moment. And I remember Marshy saying the night before when we were having a drink, he just said, look, all I'm going to say to you is just take a moment to yourself. And there was a couple of moments throughout the day where I just went, you know what, I'm just going to have a minute by myself. When I sent the boys in before we did the team talk before the game, I think it was just me left out on the pitch for a minute and just took it all in and just the whole experience. So yeah, I feel I took as much out of it as I possibly could, but even so, it was gone. But yeah, an incredible day, one that I'll never forget, my family will never forget, and obviously everyone associated will never forget. Yeah, I just think for everyone involved, my dad has kind of been my biggest supporter for many, many years. Going back to when I was playing, him and my granddad used to drive me all over Hampshire and counties to go and Saturday mornings, Sunday mornings, all those kind of bits. And he's followed me ever since I took over here. He's been to nearly every game. Followed us on the Vars, Barnstaple Ball, he was there, Hayward Heath, he was there. Me everywhere. So to do it for him, I think was probably the biggest thing for me. Yeah, I know he was massively proud. So to give him a kind of reward like that is just an incredible feeling for everyone. But my girlfriend was there, my mum and stepdad were there, my sister. So yeah, it's just a family occasion. My other sister lives out in Australia, but they were watching it on
streaming it or something.
Yeah, they were on the BT feed, and my sister sent me a video of my 2 nieces who were like only sort of under 10. And they were screaming at the camera every time I come on the screen. It's just little things like that. It's just
that's incredible.
Yeah, it's just amazing. Yeah, to have that opportunity at our level.
Yeah, you couldn't believe that, could you?
No, and the like the photos you've taken, and we've had. I couldn't believe the amount of photographers that have sent us hundreds of photos, and even like a week after, you were still flicking through social media. Go, oh my God, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah,
and it's just those. It is memories, and to have been captured on BT and by all the photographers, it's just makes it even more special that we can look back on it.
Who gets everything ready for a penalty shootout? Obviously, you've got overall tactical control, but how much is that you? How much is it the goalkeeper coaches? How much is it due to Callum? Does he have to do his own homework? Like, talk us through the prep that you would have had to have done, knowing that a game could just go straight to penalties.
Yeah, I was talking to someone about this the other day, actually. In the build-up to like the playoff games previous years and the Vars games previous years, we'd practice penalties.
Okay.
Not loads, but at the end of a session we would go, look, you're all taking 2 each. And obviously it didn't work very well. Hayward Heath we didn't practice before. Cal did his own research. We've got a great an analyst, pair of analysts that are fantastic at their job. They managed to get a few bits. But obviously, when you're watching games back, predominantly the penalties are taken by the number one penalty taker. You don't get to see like third and fourth in the list. So there's only a certain amount you can do. But I know Cal watched some footage. We obviously had quite a bit of footage and a bit of information on him. So he did his own bits.
And then he said that the first 3 that you would have been expecting had already been subbed off. Is that right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So you're then into a guesswork really, and that's where the coaching plays its part. You know, looking at the angle of their run up, their foot position, like that can give you so much. But to be able to react in that time is really difficult. So some of it is guesswork, to be honest, a bit of luck. But we didn't practice at all,
right?
Not at all. And I've gone between choosing penalty takers in the past and asking. And at Wembley, I just told them, as I did at Haywards Heath, I just said, "This is the order. Go and do it." That was it. And I think a lot of them said, and they're obviously going to try and compliment me after the game, but a lot of them said that me just going your first, second, third, fourth, fifth gave them the confidence, because they almost went, well, if he trusts me, then instead of going, who wants one? Obviously, we were lucky we had Laycock. I was always going to pick him first, because I just thought, you know, he's all right, he's never been to Wembley before, and it was still a massive occasion for him, and I know he was very, very nervous, but just relied on our experience. You know, Cal went up, JT, and then it was Tiz and Tom that obviously took them, and Owen would have been 5th. So them two, you know, young lads, took a lot of balls to step up and do what they did. The first 2 I was always confident about, just because I knew they would handle the pressure. But I just said to them, like, just focus on your technique. You know, you only have to watch them in training. They're excellent players for this level. It's the quality they've got is incredible, really. So just said, look, it's on me. You know, take the pressure off as much as I possibly could. And they delivered.
Well, huge congratulations to you and the group of lads and everybody, because there's millions of people involved in the team. It's not just you and 1 or 2 coaches and 15 players. It goes much deeper than that. So huge congratulations, and let's look forward to seeing what happens this season.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.